On the final word, up next, of course, is Rajeev Dimri. He's the leader in Indirect Taxes at BMR Associates. Thank you so much for having come in to the final word, Mr. Dimri. As you know, we're trying to get those various reactions in terms of the tax experts that are talking to us. Quickly, your first reaction on those recommendations that have come out of the CA panel. Are you pleasantly surprised, or you know, any particular reactions you have to what you've heard today?
Yes, I mean, a revenue neutral rate at 15.5, standard rate at 17-18, I think that is certainly a pleasant surprise and a welcome one. I think that just makes this whole implementation far more meaningful.
But Mr. Dimri, how do you see the opposition and the industry reacting to this announcement? We have heard several of them tonight, but in your opinion, how do you think they're going to see this through, if at all?
I mean, one of the major demand of the opposition, as we understand, was capping the rate at 18%, and therefore this recommendation is pretty much in line with that. Now, whether they should be baked in the Constitution or should it be a legislative aspect is a separate issue altogether. But certainly, from a mere rate perspective, this is something that industry should be really welcoming this. I certainly welcome it. And I'm sure the point that the opposition had raised about capping the rate at 18, this meets that requirement and that demand.
Sir, can I just ask you this demerit rate of 40% on aerated drinks, pan masala, luxury cars, what's your reaction to it?
I think considering a standard rate at 17-18, a 40% rate seems very high. I don't know whether that is an upper cap, but just as a rate, a 40% rate is really high, and it will be important to see to what extent it will apply and to which all items it will apply. But 40% by any standard is an extremely high rate. There should not be such wide distinction. It's more than double. So that 40% is a shocking one and surprise. But I want to see more details in the report as to what is the logic.
Sure.
But more importantly, how it will play out, how many items will find their way into that product. But that certainly is very high by any standard.
And also the definition, of course, and that's the kind of word we've heard. But also your suggestions in terms of fuel and alcohol, getting into the GST ambit, that has been suggested. How do you see this impacting the industry, the government, and the main players within the space?
See, even when the fuel was to be excluded, it was not a permanent exclusion. It was an exclusion for 2-3 year period. So it is more a transitionary aspect. And I don't know whether the discussion today that is taking place saying it will get included, are they saying it will get included from day one? So the exclusion of fuel was an interim measure, more as a transitionary provision, and they were meant to finally get included in this. The inclusion of alcohol will require far more work, because that has many other dimensions that are attached to it, including constitutional amendment. So that may take place over a long period of time, but certainly fuel should be included, and if it can be included right away, that will be even better. But certainly in a time-bound manner, it should get included, as is the case with, let's say, electricity or real estate. So there are many exclusions to the current format, and those exclusions should not be there for a long period of time.
Mr. Dimri, let me just ask you, one of the recommendations was putting a GST rate in the Constitution that has, of course, been declined by the government. Do you anticipate the opposition creating any sort of furor about this now?
Personally, don't think that something like rate should be baked in the Constitution, because you never know what situation may emerge. And if you have to change it, that should not become another constitutional process to change it. A legislative cap is certainly something that should be there, because you have to ensure that states adhere to certain discipline. So a legislative cap is certainly a good idea. I personally don't think that a constitutional cap is something that we should do, particularly for a rate which has to serve us for a long period of time.
Yes, the viability of that has been discussed. Mr. Dimri, I want to thank you for joining us this evening with your perspective on all that is being discussed with the recommendations on GST by the CEA panel. Of course, like we were saying, political parties seem to be broadly welcoming the recommendations being made here, but they're saying they need to